Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we have very interesting discussion and interview with Prachi Gupta. We have touched many interesting topics like Navamsha, how to rectify chart, how to analyze the Upapada. So I invite you to see this video. If you like it, please hit the like button. If you'd like to be notified about similar videos in the future, please click the subscribe button with the bell notification on. So not keeping you any longer, please, let's go to the video.
Brief introduction about yourself, like how you came into astrology.
First, I was interested in Western astrology. And so in Europe, we have here also the tradition of Western astrology. So I was starting to reading books. I was also very interested in psychology, how all the types works, how are the division of people, how we can make a typology of people based on their nature and so on. And then after some time, I dwell into Vedic astrology. I get to know people from the Vaishnava circles in Poland, and I have seen that it is much more accurate. Whatever I've seen, the people, my friends, my family, somehow it clicked more. It was a little bit more accurate, I would say. And of course, I was fascinated by the Varga charts, that we can have a special chart for a relationship, we can have a special chart for money, for career life, for spirituality, for education. That was really attracting. And then around 2004, I get into a contact with the Sri Jagannath Center Forum, which was led by Sri Sanjay Rath. And then I met my guru, Visti Larsen, who from that time he was started teaching me regularly through Skype, through mails, and also we met each other many times on the conferences, on the Jaimini course, and so on. So then since around 2004, it became a bit much more serious when I get the very regular studies.
And I also know that you have taught many students. Like, how do you enjoy teaching people?
All the time when you teach, it is also making you stronger. So you have more examples, you have to re-examine what you're thinking. So it also is building yourself. And of course, it is a great pleasure to bring that teaching to others. I'm very interested also how they are adding this Vedic knowledge to what they already have, to the tools they are using in their, for example, a psychological practice or a coaching or any other type of supporting people in their life. So it is very interesting how the Vedic astrology is another block they can add to their practice.
So I would begin with asking you with one first question of mine.
Yes.
I wanted to know about, I went through your video of Upapada. So how can we activate certain houses to gain the benefits of Upapada? Like if we have to activate 9th house, what should the person do?
Yeah, so Upapada are showing how our marriage basically is seen in the chart. This is the only point in the Rasi chart which indicates really our marriage, because the 7th house and the 7th lord are saying more about our partners and how we interact with partners, but the project of marriage is more Upapada. And you nicely said that it is working like that, that in whichever house Upapada is placed, we can activate that and therefore also attract, we could say, the circumstances, right? We could activate the law of attraction, how they say in the circles. So for example, if it is in 9th house, then usually what we see is that the first thing would be that the marriage has started at the studies. So whenever a person studied, right? Because 9th house has to do with our studies. So at the time of study, normally the relationship starts. The other thing, and that depends also on the karakas. For example, if the karaka is Jupiter or Mercury, it has to do more with the studies. But if the karaka related to Upapada is, for example, Venus, then 9th house also has to do with the travels. So it also can happen that when a person is traveling, the relationship will start regarding the 9th house.
Yeah. So to activate it, a person should see the lord of the house and also which planets are sitting in that house.
There are two things here. When it comes to activity, then the house of Upapada is very important. So yes, the Upapada is in 10th house, and then we say that when the person starts working. So if you are joining some new work, you are joining some team of people, it may not be even involved related to the specific people in the work, but it works like that, that somehow when you start working, then you are activating that relationship karma in your life.
Yeah.
So if you are unemployed, then it may be hard for you if you have Upapada in 10th house. So the good advice for relationship would be to join the work. So this is, the house is about the activity, but if you take the Lord of Upapada and then you are taking the sign, then it may show the place when you meet each other. So for example, if it's in Leo, it can be related to some conference. If it's in Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, it can be too close to reservoir of water or something like, Pisces can be the sea, the Cancer can be the river. Now Leo, Sagittarius can be related to mountains and so on. So so if we know what the signs are showing, the Lord of Upapada will show in which place, what would be the background, how the place will look like, we could say. But the house of Upapada, not of the Lord, but the house of Upapada will show what activity we have to, in which format, in which scenario we have to be present for the relationship to come to us. For example, if Upapada is in 4th house, usually it's very often that the relationship is with the person from the same city. Even sometimes very, very close friends, things like that. So this is how we use the house.
Yeah, or they can meet through their mother, because 4th house is also the house of mother.
Exactly, especially when the moon is there. And then if you are going this way, then it goes into direction of arranged marriage, right? Little bit. So therefore, for this, we usually are seeing the 8th house and Saturn. So I would say when there is a connection also to the 8th house and Saturn, then we are activating this arranged marriage thing. And when there is a relation then to 4th house, it can be really started, through mother, we could say, yes.
Yeah, then they won't be having so much heartbreaks because they are going to know which serious relationship they are going to meet where.
Yes, exactly. But we have to say, but when it comes to a heartbreak or something like that, Upapada, we have to remember also that the Upapada doesn't guarantee the marriage. It only leads to marriage when the Upapada Lord is very strong. If the Upapada Lord is weak, then this is relationship which normally breaks or somehow is don't turn into marriage. So what we need is the Upapada or the Upapada Lord has to be strong to really that it will lead to the marriage.
Yeah, like if we talk about marriage, we see like that Navamsha chart is very much linked to marriage. So they say that it's a very important chart. So it's like after marriage we should only see Navamsha chart, or other charts lose their significance. Is it that?
Not really. This is, I know this concept that after, some people are saying that the Navamsha prevails after marriage. Some people are saying that the Navamsha prevails after some age, like 50, or some say like 32, right? Depending on Jupiter or Sun, Naisargika Dasha. But really what is happening is that if you will read the text, the astrological text, then you will find that the Navamsha Lagna is telling you about, for example, the birth circumstances. If you have nodes in the Navamsha Lagna, then you can be born due to forceps. If you have Mars in Navamsha Lagna, you can be born due to cesarean birth. So the Navamsha Lagna really, it's working from the birth. Okay, but it shows our bhagya. According to the text, like Brihad Parashara Hora Shastra, the Parashara Muni says that it is showing our bhagya, our fortune. So this Rashi is showing how this is manifesting, how the things in Navamsha, which are in the form of, we could say, fortune packets, fortune pack, fortune, we could say resources, how this manifests in life. So the Rashi will work all the time, but it will show more how the things are manifesting, whilst the Navamsha will show what is manifesting, what karma is manifesting. Is it the relationship which is coming now? Is it the work which is coming? Is it the health problems which are coming? So the Navamsha is all the time active. And if you are in the married life, then the Rashi also works, because the Navamsha will also show the environment of relationship, how your relationship with your spouse is working with its own independent inner dynamics. That is the difference. The Rashi will show how the relationship is ultimately impacting you. So the Rashi is quite egoistical, we could say. It's quite self-centered. It shows all the time how the relationship are impacting you. Whereas the Navamsha the focus of the Navamsha is more how the inner dynamics of the interaction between the partners, how the things are going on. So it's more partner seeing independent, partner in its own environment, not. And the Rasi chart shows more how I see the partner, what is the impact of the partner on me, and so on. So this is how we do it.
Tell me one thing, like if somebody is not having the accurate birth date because Navamsha changes in like a split minute or a split second. So what should they do if they're not sure about their time? Like they know their time is between 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. What should they do?
Always when we are starting doing our chart reading, we always rectify the chart. This is what we do in our tradition. This is what we were taught in our school. And normally when I'm doing the consultation, I try, if I have a lot of time, I try to rectify the chart up to D60. And then the Pranapada rectification, so it is around then 30 seconds. If we don't know the time at all, then we have to first rectify the Rasi chart, or if there is, let's say, 3 hours difference, we need to be sure that the main chart, the Rashi chart, ascendant is correct. Then we can go to the Drekana chart, because the Drekana will change every 10 degrees, every 10 degrees. So it can be like, for 2 hours span, it can be around 45 minutes, let's say. And then if we have that one Drekana, then this one Drekana will give us 3 Navamshas. So then we rectify the Navamsha. And we can rectify the Navamsha, for example, on the abilities, what kind of abilities you have. And these planets, which are reflecting your abilities, they have to be in 1st, 5th, or 9th houses. So, for example, if you have a sun in the 1st house, then you may be a very voracious reader. You will read a lot. Okay, a lot of reading, because some love the aksharas, which are the alphabets consonants. The sun we have in Devanagari, we have 50 aksharas. They are all related to the Vishuddha chakra here in the throat. Moon is related to singing, but sun is related to Gita. That you can be also interested in Bhagavad Gita with the sun, but also you can be interested in musical instruments. So if you have sun in 1st, 5th, or 9th, then very likely you can be interested in music. For example, I have sun in Lagna, so I was producing music for some time, and I'm also interested in reading a lot, right? Then if we have, for example, moon in 1st, 5th, or 9th, then we are interested into music or into stories like history. If we have Mars, then it can be about yoga, about cooking, about technical aspects. If it can be Jupiter, then it's also knowledge, but it's more related to some higher meaning, spirituality, true, basically seeking the true. Exactly. It can be even physics, or it can be philosophy, but it is about seeking the true. If we have Ketu in 1st, 5th, or 9th, it's all about mathematics, about numbers, also about being perfectionist. Ketu is very much interested in details. Everything has to click. Everything has to be correct. So based on this, we can then rectify Navamsha. We can go forward and backward and ask the person, what are your abilities? When you have rectified Navamsha, your chart reading will be like 10 times better, like without Navamsha. It gives you a lot. It gives you a lot.
Yeah. So like people who are scared and tense that they don't know their exact time, they should go for astrology consultation, because it can be rectified.
Yes. We are rectifying based on the past events, definitely.
Yeah, because many people come, they say that we can't go to an astrologer because we don't know our correct time. So it can be derived out, so they don't need to be scared. They should consult an astrologer.
Yes. It's all. I must say that it's always good to have a recorded birth time. For example, if sometimes the birth time you need to go to the hospital, or you need to go to some place when they collect these times, depending on the country. So in Germany and in Poland, we have basically a good record of a time. It's not always at our home or with our mother. We can go to some hospital, or we can go to some place which can give us this. So before going to astrologer, it's good to try at least to get this birth time from hospital or whatever recorded sources. The best is recorded, right? Yeah. And then, of course, the time is not accurate because they don't write it very accurately. So then we rectify it. No? So if you have time like 10:30, then we can rectify like 20 minutes forward, backward. It will give us 3 or 4 Navamshas. then we can rectify it to exact Navamsha, exactly.
Yeah, like I have also seen, like I want to ask this, like psychology is very linked to astrology. What I feel that is because I've seen like people who are dealing with psychological problems, if they consult an astrologer, they can be given consultations on the basis of that, their mental tension can be lowered. So
Yes.
it's, you know, like it's psychology. So it's like astrology is a vast thing that depends on a lot of subjects. So I wanted to ask you, like, if someone is dealing with a mental trauma, like in marriage and all, should they consult an astrologer or should they go to a marriage consultant?
I would say that both ways are very good. Psychology is working, also depends on what type of psychology, because the main two schools are the Freud psychology or the psychoanalysis, as they say, and very popular now we have this cognitive behavioral therapy in Germany, is especially very, very popular. So this is basically teaching you how your negative thoughts are causing some feelings which are disturbing to you. You may have a lot of negative thoughts. So basically the assumption of cognitive behavioral therapy and especially also the school of psychology, which is called cognitive psychology. There is cognitive psychology, which was created by John Burns. So basically in that psychology, we are taught that our feelings or how we are feeling about ourselves, about the world, and generally about the future is all related to how we are thinking. So when we are correcting these thinking patterns, then we are really totally change our mindset and change how we feel. When we are going to astrology, then we are learning or we are recognizing a little bit deeper how it works on a little bit deeper aspect. So we could find similarity more between psychology like psychoanalysis and astrology. They are they are really connected because they try to find some deep rooted patterns, no? And astrology, we call it karma, this deep rooted patterns, and we are saying that they not only are coming from this life, not from this childhood, but we also say, oh, they may come even from the past life, right? So astrology is helping us to find these patterns, these conflicts. We may have conflicts in our chart. One level of the same thing may show one thing, the other may show other thing. So there is also a definition of the neurosis when there are conflicts. So in astrology chart, we may find these conflicts. So many psychologists, they are using also, those psychologists which are a little bit more open to this, they are using also astrology to understand how the client's patterns are working and where are the conflicts and how we can solve them. So I would say that we should use both these things because astrology may not teach you really how to change your thinking, right? You can, of course, change it by the mantras. The mantras are a very good way of having positive impact on our thinking, definitely. But in more spiritual way, in a little bit enigmatic and in more metaphysical way. But how to change our behavioral patterns when it comes to our thought process, the psychology is very effective. So definitely, if you have any mental issues like anxiety, depression, or whatever is there, like OCD or anything, you definitely, I really strongly advise to go to psychology and also go to astrologists, because these both perspective may really add a lot of information and value to your life.
Yeah, because I guess in a chart, like whenever your moon is afflicted, you are having some mental troubles.
Not always. I know many people who have moon with Saturn or moon with Rahu and moon with Ketu. Not always. It's ever is with moon. It is showing that this kind of impulse is coming to your mind on, we could say, regular basis. So when you have moon with Saturn, they say that the Saturn is always influencing your mind process. But Moon and Saturn yoga is also called Pravraja yoga, and it can mean that you can be very spiritual person. Basically, if you have Moon with Saturn, it can mean that you may not be very much impressed by the material world. You may see the negative side of the world, but this may be true because from the spiritual point of view, according to some spiritual texts, our spirituality begins when we are confronted with this idea of being or feeling that we are eternal, but we are in the temporal body, right? We have to die someday. And when you have moon with Saturn or moon in the 8th house or some Saturnian influence, then this topic may be very vital, very central for you, right? So for some people, this can be source of depression, because they may think, oh, everything is temporary, nothing is stable, no relationship is stable, oh my God. So, but if you have also a good planets in Kendra, like for example, Jupiter, Venus, basically you need to have a good sattva guna to channel this energy to spirituality. And then you are spiritual, then you say, yes, it's true, it's all temporary, but it doesn't give me depression. It's rather inspiring me to the spiritual path, right? So for mental problems, we need to check 3rd house, 4th house, and 5th house if they are afflicted. And especially, I would say you need to check the dispositor of the moon. That would be much more important. Is the dispositor of the moon afflicted?
Because I've seen like a lot of people say that meditation can solve all their problems, because they believe that all Lal Kitab methods, remedies, they are not that accurate. So they believe that if you do meditation, your most problems get sorted. Do you believe in this thing, like meditation can cancel all the remedies?
Not really. I don't believe that. I also not support Lal Kitab. It's saying the red book. It has a little bit tamasic remedies, so it's not recommended for people who are on the sattvic side of spirituality, I would say. But meditation, what is very good about meditation is that make you aware of your thought patterns. When we are meditating, then we are somehow distancing from those childhood patterns or any cultural patterns or any upbringing, school. It could be many things. We are then recognizing, oh my God, this is not really who I am now. It is something which is haunting me like a ghost from the past, right? It's coming. And then when you meditate, you see, okay, this is my core personality, and this is my virus, we could say. This is like a virus, right? So meditation is great. Meditation is great because it can give you that distancing yourself to those patterns, to those problems. But unless you are using a mantras to that meditation, unless you are using at least some bijas, mantras, then you are not changing your karma, right? And what is karma? Karma means that there are impulses from the planets coming all the time to our mind and also to our surrounding, right? So if we are not using these mantras, then the meditation can give us this distance, I would say, but still the impulses will try to come to us. Mantra is a little bit like a magic, right? Yeah. Mantra means you are changing the karma. Yeah. So this is, with meditation, you are not changing the karma. I mean dhyana without any bija, many mantras, then you are making yourself more aware, more sattvic. You are observing your thoughts. You are basically elevating yourself to the level of intelligence, buddhi, right? We have the ahamkara, false ego, buddhi, intelligence, manas, which is the mind. So if you are meditating a lot, you are elevating your consciousness to the level of buddhi, to the intelligence, from which you can then see your thoughts, you can see your feelings, you can see your mind. But the mind is very strong, right? The mind will try all the time to pull us down, pull us back. So you would have to meditate all the time, I would say.
And I want to know, like, people are always interested about their past life. How do we check past life in a chart?
The past life is basically, we have these concepts of 9th house, the nodes, and the 8th house very much. So the 9th house shows the past, the 8th house shows what is the remnants of the past, which is haunting you in this life like a debt, which is called then the Nija dosha. This is the 8th house. So you can see, how is your 8th house placed? Is it really involved in some bad yoga, then it means that you have some past karma from the past life, which is like haunting you, right, in this life. Navamsha is also the house very much connected to the past life because it is the harmonic chart, the divisional chart based on the ninth house division, and ninth is the past, right? The first is the Vartmana, which is present. Fifth house has to do with our future, so therefore it shows our children, our plans, our memory, which we can use to plan. And the ninth house is showing our past. And the Navamsha is created from dividing the sign to the 9 parts. Therefore, the Navamsha has a lot to do with our past, right? And therefore, we, for example, the moon in the Navamsha will show our likings, our preferences much better than the moon in the Rasi chart. Okay, so the moon in the Navamsha is very important. For example, in texts like Sharavari or Jataka Parijata, they are having dedicated chapters to only analysis of the moon in the Navamsha. So moon in the Navamsha is very, very important. Yes, and because it shows how our past life is creating our mind. Okay, so for a few lifetimes, we were choosing something. We were choosing this ice cream over this ice cream, this color over this color, this music over this music, and this has created our likings and preferences. And we can see those likings and preferences by the moon in the Navamsha. But if you really want to know about your past life, I mean, who you were in past life, what was your job, what was your partners, then only from D60 chart. Like Parashara says that the Shastyamsa is showing the all karma, Sarva karma, the all karma are seen in the Shastyamsa chart. And therefore, you need to have rectified Shastyamsa because it's D60. It changes every 2-3 minutes. And then from this chart, Shastyamsa chart, you may have perspectives into 2 things. You may have access to 2 things. First is what was your past life, and the second is how this past life is having impact on this life. So we are going from D60, then we are going to the Navamsha, and then we are going to the Rasi chart.
They should still consult an astrologer so that they can modify their life, they can better it, because in astrology we have few things that can amplify your life, it can better your life.
Yes,
it's going good, but it can do it more better if you do that things.
Yes. We can use where are the good points of the chart and then activate them. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So you can, like, if you are a lucky person, just go an astrologer, do a consultation, be more lucky.
Exactly. and know where the bad luck is. And when it can come, because, for example, you may be lucky in the middle part of life. Some people are unlucky in the first part of life, very bad childhood, in the second, but the 9th house is very good. The last part of life is the best. They are the luckiest. They have a very peaceful old age. They are reading the books. They have nice house. They are very peaceful. They have children. They have family. They have good saved bank balance. Everything is peaceful. Everything is nice. The 9th house is very good. You may have very troubled, some people may have very troubled old life. There are people who are having a lot of litigations, a lot of depressions in the old age. So this is also, our life is divided into this young age, adult life, and then the old age. So yes, exactly. So even if you are lucky in the middle age, you need to know if there are some dangers and how you can be lucky in the future. Right? Even the dasha is changing. After some time, you may be in good dasha. Venus, 20 years. If you have good Venus in Kendra exalted or something, then 20 years may be good. But after Venus comes the sun, right? And if the sun is badly placed, then you need to see how you need to, I would say, prevent any. So astrology is very good for preventing from threat and dangers and amplifying the good karmas.
Yeah, because if you are having some, like, if you are about to get into an accident or something, you can be saved from that also if you get a consultation with me.
Yes, exactly. You can know in which time is dangerous, so you don't go into car.
don't go. Stay
in this time. Exactly. And then you can also do the mantras, right? You can do the mantras and then it can protect you.
Yeah, and these are all vibrations. They just modify your aura. They are very good. Mantras are like booms.
Yes, exactly. They have impact. But what is really interesting is that the mantra is not only influencing you, but it's also influencing your surrounding.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so that is something additional to psychology, because if you are working on the psychology level, basically you are working with your mind, with yourself. But if you are doing the mantras, it also somehow it has impact on the people around you, right? On the objects around you, on the world around you. So this is also quite interesting.
Yeah, because if your soul and your mind is calm, your people around you are also calm, because you're not shouting at them, you're not getting angry on them.
Yes. This perspective is also there, but I would say that even without the impact of you on your world, the mantra is also independently changing your world, right? Because, for example, let's say that you have in your karmic life, you have in your chart to be attacked by someone, right? You are, let's say, you will be your house. You will have some burglary in the house. Someone will steal your laptop and all your money from house. So if, let's say, you are doing mantra, so it's not working like this, that you are impacting the thief, right? Because you don't have any relation. But if you are doing the mantra, then it can somehow also protect you from these things. So it is somehow in magic way works also on the people around you, apart from that process, how you are impacting them psychologically. So that is important point to mention about the working of mantras, that somehow in a magic way they are impacting others and our surrounding, apart from us impacting them. So this brings us to the end of this interview. I hope you find it interesting and informative. Subscribe for more and see you in the next one.